Let's podcast alongside Demetri Ravanos.
That's right.
I'm Joe Ovias, Joe Giglio on assignment today. He'll be back tomorrow. We are inside Eford Studios. See, you throwing me off. I have my usual spiel that I could just like repeat. You know,
it's the reflection off my head.
That's kind of what it is. Yeah. So anyway, we're inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties. Thanks to Copiers Plus. You can check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management. Get everything you need to the cloud. Honestly, my Kyocera is going to come in handy now that it's tax season. I got to like scan a bunch of documents. I got to get to the tax guy, all that kind of stuff. Look, that's just for my personal use. If you want to save money in 2026, it's time to contact them. So hit them up at copiers-plus.com. Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play, is going to drop on by in a little bit. We got a lightning round with a lot of NFL stuff that's been going on. And it's funny, because we record the podcast in the morning, and sometimes you have to anticipate things that might come out by the time somebody's listening to it. So like Mike Tomlin, right? You got to talk about these things in a very kind of general sense that you have a hunch that Mike Tomlin's going to be done in Pittsburgh. Yeah. But you can't say it at that point in time. Same with Bryce Young, right? We all kind of understood that he was going to get a fifth-year option, but you can't quite say it. And sure enough, at 11 o'clock, Dan Morgan straight up says, yeah, unprompted, we're just going to pick up his fifth-year option.
Literally how he opened his his press conference.
It's all podcast if you think about it, right? So all that stuff is coming up in the lightning round, including my new favorite topic that probably gives Demetri trauma. Who's the next Kurt Signetti? Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. It's like in your radio consultant days. Who's the next Lebitard?
Who's the next? Yeah. Well, it's not who's the next Lebitard. It's we want a local Lebitard.
A local Lebitard
that you can do by yourself
for $20,000 a year.
That's right. Hey, 24.
Cool. No, but let's actually start in your wheelhouse, dude. I was actually looking forward to you hanging out today because we have not spent a lot of time talking about college football.
Sure.
Outside of the Alabama or outside of the Indiana. Sorry, see, Indiana's just the new Alabama.
They're the new Alabama.
This is true. Because Joe and I got into that topic on Monday about Indiana, and if they pull this thing off on Monday, 16-0, like where do you rank them and all that kind of stuff. But underneath all of the holy shit, Indiana, how?
Yeah.
And lost in is the Washington quarterback staying at Washington? Is he leaving Washington?
Yeah.
Did he fire his agent? How many North Carolina kids or UNC football players can Dave Dorn accumulate in the portal? He's already got 2.
Right.
Like, is Dave bored with beating UNC? So he's finding new ways to stick it to him?
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to do it with your old players now. So they got 2 guys that that are theoretically coming over from Chapel Hill to Raleigh. So there's all sorts of stuff that's like kind of bubbling underneath the surface. But the biggest one, and this is where I need you to SEC-splain me here, because I am not in that universe. I don't want to be in that universe, but I find it interesting. Is the SEC cooked? Because this is now the third. I keep hearing this talking point. Is this, it's the third national championship game without an SEC team. And we have noticed 2 things. Limited sample size, because we only really had 3 years of this, but we have 2 things happening that have started to erode the SEC's dominance over college football. One of them is an expanded playoff field, which adds to the chaos of it all. And then, of course, you have money freely flowing out in the open, as opposed to the legends of the bag man and things like that. I don't think it has anything to do with not caring, like the bowl record. Yeah, I don't care about the bowl record. No. We can't pick and choose when we want to care about the bowl record. So I don't get caught up in all that kind of stuff. And I don't think the SEC gets caught up in the bowl record. But I can see them being super upset or having an existential crisis over the fact that money's flowing and we're not in it.
So I'm going to speak on this from the Alabama point of view, but it kind of is the larger SEC.
It's a larger SEC problem, yes.
Nick Saban extolling the virtues of a version of college football that is never coming back is going to bury Alabama. It is, because I don't.
That's weird coming from Saban, though.
It is, but it is all right. So for people that have not followed, not only did Alabama really flame out against Indiana in the playoff, they've had some real trouble in the transfer portal. And I don't think that Alabama in particular, but this is true of the SEC in general, I think there are a lot of programs that are not accounting for the idea of the discount to play in the SEC in the age of all that matters is opportunity and money. Program prestige doesn't matter anymore.
Sure.
That's over. That's like the best coach in the history of football is gone. No one's giving Alabama a discount to come play for Alabama
Why
anymore.
would you?
Right. No one's giving LSU a discount to go play for Lane Kiffin.
Well, I mean, hell, in the case of Hollywood Smothers,
Right.
we were talking about this before. Speaking of the transfer portal, we were talking about this before we hit record. Hollywood Smothers was at NC State. You kind of got the idea, given his year, that he was going to transfer. He was going to go secure the bag somewhere. I'm not faulting Hollywood Smothers for doing what's best for Hollywood Smothers. So he goes to Alabama. We actually talked about this when we saw the news. Like, yeah, I don't think you were like Hollywood Smothers ain't going to Alabama because he's getting a bunch of carries.
Yeah,
it's because he's probably.
He was going to get a bunch of carries. I think they have a freshman coming in that I keep hearing like they're going to put him in the number one role right away.
But then all of a sudden he's there for a week, not even, and now apparently he's not enrolled at Alabama. Yeah. He's now going to enroll at Texas.
Right.
So it's like, to your point. Do you think that happens if Nick Saban's still the coach at Alabama?
I mean, less likely, right? I don't know. I don't know for sure, but like certainly, like I don't. All right,
like I'm willing to take a little bit of a discount, or I'm willing to even get a diminished production because I'm at Alabama and it's going to put me in front of the right people.
Right, because 5 to 10 years ago, the fastest route to the NFL was play for Nick Saban.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right, that doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
I don't. It's hard. I kind of don't. All right, Hollywood Smothers absolutely did Alabama dirty. But at the same time, I don't blame him for taking advantage of a system where the people in charge over and over again had opportunities to create rules and refused to.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's a larger topic, though.
Yeah.
That is a larger topic in all of college football and really all of college sports, because we're seeing this in basketball as well.
But it does. Yes, it is a larger topic, but it is part of the reason that what you're talking about exists. That the SEC is kind of falling, and not even behind, just back to the pack. Like, I don't think the expanded playoff field has anything to do with it. I think it has way more to do with Big Ten alumni bases and your Dukes of the world. They just have bigger, more national, richer alumni bases than most SEC schools do. Most SEC states do. There's one billionaire in the state of Alabama. Guess what? He's an Auburn booster. So that puts Alabama behind the 8 ball, even in its own state.
Well, I think what you're getting at is, let me double back a second. The system is messed up. The stakeholders have to be the ones that fix it. But it seems to be, and I can only infer this. I don't know this for a fact, but you can kind of see the lay of the land with college football and college basketball, because college basketball has been dealing with its own issues where coaches are super upset about, well, are you saying I can just go get LeBron James on my team right now?
Right.
I mean, if you try, who says no at this point? There are no rules, right? So, but Charlie Baker, who's the head of the NCAA, and all the stakeholders seem to be doing a Sopranos style insurance fire right now. Let it burn.
Right.
So then somebody else can, on their dime, pick it up and we can fix it, rather than us having to do the work of getting us out of whatever we're in. So you let it burn, and then you can run to DC and go, we need your intervention to save us from ourselves, even though they're the ones. That's what I mean by a larger topic. Specifically to the SEC, they are dealing with the innovator's curse.
Yeah.
Okay. The SEC invented cheating in college football,
of course,
for lack of a better term, right?
It's the best.
They were the best at it. So what happens when the innovation is now widespread? Everybody else is basically operating on the same level as you are. How do I find new ways to cheat? How do I find new ways to game the system? The problem is there's nothing to game anymore.
And also what SEC bagmen got really good at was giving a kid $50,000 for a 4-year commitment. That doesn't even buy you 4 games, anymore.
That is
for a top tier kid.
Drop in the bucket.
Right.
And that's why entire football squads could have a fleet of Dodge Chargers, because what's it to them? It's a free car. Dodge Charger, it's going to last a couple of years. It is what it is, right? So all of that is now above board. It's all legal, right?
And that's what I mean. Like,
how do you innovate?
Yeah, like if, again, speaking only from the Alabama point of view, like Mark Cuban cut this big check to Indiana, and Mark Cuban is not even their like most dedicated booster.
No,
that doesn't exist for, where in the SEC does it exist that you have that much money in reserve? Honestly, only Arkansas. They have proven they're not very good at this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Same with Carolina. They got a shit ton of money, and they keep making poor decisions. So specifically about Nick Saban, though, I think what bothers me about Nick is that Nick was a complainer. He's always been a complainer.
Yeah.
But I always took his complaints as warnings. As long as he was the coach at Alabama, he would, and you'd see the aggregated headlines, Nick Saban sounds warning alarm about the future of college football. And the way that I always interpreted it was Nick Saban using these things to talk to his own base, talk to his own boosters of, hey, dummies, we have to now match whatever it is happening here.
Case in point to what you're talking about, that famous Texas A&M paid this for their roster. How do you think Jackson State got Travis Hunter? That was to an alumni group.
Yes.
It happened to be filmed and ended up on the internet.
When Nick Saban talked, but he wanted it that way.
Right.
And when also Nick Saban would talk about pace of play, the future of the game, and I don't know if I want to be playing, have more plays in a game. Again, that was a warning of, hey guys, I will adapt.
Yeah, that was benevolence, though. He was worried about the kid's health.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
It was more along the lines of, here's my warning shot. This is what you really want. Fine. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to beat you to it. That's why Nick was always the best.
Yeah.
Warning shots followed by execution, and then you going, oh, I see what Nick was saying.
Right.
Got it. Now he's just on the set complaining, and there's nothing that he could really do about it. But to your point, Nick and Mike Dabo are in the same boat. It just happens to be that Saban's on a set, and Dabo's back there talking about how he doesn't really want to go into the portal. Now Dabo's got the lines of, well, now I feel like a preacher in
a Las Vegas wedding chapel.
Exactly. So
as long as Dabo still feels like a preacher, he's fine.
Honestly, if he still feels like he's spreading the word of God and preaching the good word, then it's all good in that regard. So respect to Dabo on that one. So I don't think there's an out for the SEC. The only out for the SEC is to continue to game how the college football playoff is set up. That's the only way to do it now.
Yeah.
In a way, it's kind of like gerrymandering your districts. It's kind of what it is if you're the SEC.
Sure. I
mean, that's the other battle that's taking place right now over the next week, because next week is the deadline. The latest dedeadline for the college football playoff format.
The latest deadline, and if we don't come to an agreement, it automatically locks in 3 more years of 12.
Something like that.
I go back to, I don't think gaming the amount of spots in the college football play, that's not the SEC's problem. The SEC's problem is the sport is played differently now, and you are a league married to the way it was.
Yeah. So and Lane's not that guy. Lane's
to do what?
To disrupt any of that. Because Lane, I do think Lane at LSU is a classic case of what you just said, doing things the way they've always been done.
Yeah.
You've got the big, flashy,
I disagree.
The media absorbing coach that is like the personality, the show.
Yeah.
Right. And he's operating in a way that, this has been recounted a bunch of times of like what exactly Lane Kiffin does as a head coach, and whether or not he's like as good as people make him out to be. But since he's such a front facing person, and the people in the room want to be front facing, they want to win press conferences, they want to be loud, they want to be discussed all the time, that's also an antiquated way of doing these types of things.
I mean, even Lane, what was revolutionary, I mean, like personality wise, the way he engaged with social media, even that's antiquated now.
Yeah.
Right? I believe Lane is a flame out. Like, I think we're about to have Brian Kelly 2.0.
Oh, I'm completely with you on that one. Now, speaking of the college football playoff, yes, we are referencing the fact that they have yet another deadline. The original deadline was back in December. They punted on it. Now the deadline, I think, is January 23rd, which is next week.
Yeah. After
the college football playoff final between Miami and Indiana.
Am I crazy about, I think 12 is perfect.
12 isn't perfect, though.
Okay, so here's my argument for 12.
Why 12?
All right, 12 is perfect from a TV standpoint because throughout the season, you have 3 different things to play for. A bye, a home game, just getting in. And that creates, I think, 3 different levels of conversation to be had throughout the year.
I think what would be perfect was the old, I think it was Mike Slive who had come up with this, if I remember correctly.
God rest his soul.
R.I.P. Mike Slive, a real one, a real gangster, actually. I believe Mike Slive was the one who wanted to push for the +1.
That's right.
In the old BCS era. essentially, for those who are unfamiliar with the +1, which is now 15 years old in terms of concept, so yes, I probably have to remind you, is that play all your bowl games. Do all the things. Have your, have the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Have the Orange Bowl. Have your conference tie-ins to a variety of different bowls. And then, based on those results, you then pick the 2 teams out of those bowls to play for a national championship game.
Yeah.
And we're done. This keeps college football perfect in the sense that it maintains your traditions that people claim they like, because put a pin in that. So it keeps all the traditions that people claim they like, and it keeps the arguments flowing nonstop, because that is the economy of college football. And the college football universe is nonstop arguing about who belongs, who should play, hypotheticals, which Notre Dame has been spending the last couple of weeks doing. Well,
You're right.
So anyway, so the +1 model is the perfect model. I don't think 12 is good because it creates really poor seeding situations. And I also think it does a situation where you're still battling this idea of conference championship games. And what do they mean or don't mean? That's why I think you probably need to bump it out to 16.
Okay.
All right. That way you can maintain automatic qualifiers and add more at large so that you're not having this controversy for, like, if we're going to have controversy, we're going to have arguments. I would rather people argue about what comes out of the bowl games for a national championship between the top 2 teams.
Okay.
That is a much more compelling argument than what ends up happening, the NCAA March Madnessification of these debates, of these, like, did Alabama really belong in this field?
Are you defining by best teams or most deserving?
Like, in terms of like a deserving actual national championship caliber team, was Alabama that this year?
Well, those are 2 different things. Most deserving.
Answer the question.
Okay. Most deserving, absolutely. Best, no. Yeah,
I would say no to both.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, go finish your point.
Alabama man over here. So the point is, we start debating these teams at a rate at which you're like, do they really belong?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. You bump it out to 16, you eliminate that kind of stuff, and there's no real argument about it. And then you go ahead and you have these games.
Bullshit.
And it's better than 24, which is what the Big Ten wants.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that.
24 is ridiculous.
But, like, the idea is...
because there's not 24 teams worthy of a national championship in college football.
There's not 5.
Yeah.
There's not 5. The perfect model is we don't have a set number. We determine who are the teams capable of winning the national championship.
You just have a fluid number?
Yeah. And so some years we have a playoff of 4 teams, and some years we have a playoff of 13.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think that's where the +1 comes into play, because you get to watch these teams play at a high level for the right to play for a national championship.
I mean, my
if you want to go college basketball route, what you treat the bowl games as is a bracket buster.
Yeah, sure.
That's what you treat them as.
Sure. I mean, look, to me, as a college football first guy, I'm not an idiot, right? It is minor league football, but what it is not is NFL light.
Yeah.
And so I do kind of like the idea of a committee, because it does differentiate between, you're the best 8 and 9 team, so you get to host a playoff game. Shout out Panthers. I think that there is no number we can get to that does what it, and I know this is not exactly what you're saying, but this is the way the argument is made. It would eliminate arguments about who deserved to get in that didn't. Like, fuck no, it wouldn't.
Well, it doesn't eliminate it in March Madness either. I mean, you could have 128 teams. You're still going to get somebody who's mad about these things.
Exactly.
But
and you're always going to have
my level of give a damn, like, it starts to become performative, right?
Yeah.
Like we saw this last year with North Carolina basketball. It became this big performative thing. John Fanta busting out of his suit on the Fox Sports set, talking about how it's a crime that North Carolina was in the NCAA tournament. It's like, we're really equating this to a crime, guys?
I mean,
Come on now.
I've got so many thoughts that they're jumbled. That's
the problem. But what's funny is that's the problem with college football right now.
Sure.
I mean, let's think about this. How many different iterations of this postseason format have we had in the last 15 years?
I mean, like in the last 15 years, we've gone from just the national championship game is one of the four to the national championship game.
Yes.
14 playoff, 12-team playoff.
Yes. And we've even seen a tweak within the 12-team playoff.
That's right.
Okay. So we keep messing with it, and this has caused what you would call customer confusion.
Sure.
And yet, despite the fact that college football can't get it out of its own way,
Mhm.
and you've got all these stakeholders arguing and having this game of chicken as to who's going to control what, because that's really what's going on behind the scenes.
Sure.
It's a battle between the Big Ten and the SEC as to who is actually going to control the future of college football. And I think that's another existential issue that the SEC has, is that, man, we run college football. The Big Ten's going, not so fast, if you will, if we're going to call back to Lee Corso. So that's the debate that's also going on here. And there's this politics that's taking place about, because that's the other thing. The Big Ten's all about going to 16 if you put the guarantee that in 3 seasons you go to 24. So we're even doing more iterations in the context of this. And despite all that, I get the press releases from ESPN.
Yeah.
Have you seen the ratings?
Oh, they're great.
The ratings are through the roof.
Yeah.
Okay?
Should be pointed out that we've changed the way we measure ratings.
Now, about that.
Yeah.
About that. Because I do think that it's interesting that, I don't know if it came from Awful Announcing or I forgot where I saw this, that apparently at ESPN, was it Burke Magnus? For those, you can better explain this than I can. Who is Burke Magnus for those who don't know the ESPN hierarchy?
I mean, basically, he runs everything you see on ESPN.
Okay. So Burke comes out and he's like, I want more college football coverage.
Yeah.
In fact, we're underserving college football, which in my thing is like, actually, that's pretty good because all you ever do is talk about the NFL.
Yeah,
like, I
don't think that's wrong. Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong for Burke to say this. And this is why they want to invest in bringing in Josh Pate, who just tweets very scintillating things like college football. Dude,
that's it. That's the tweet.
That's a bar. College football and no weddings in the fall. I don't get Josh Pate, but that's just me.
He's a very nice man.
I'm sure he is. I don't get it.
Loves
but you know
the
what?
Lord and bicep curls.
There's a lot of people who don't get me, and that's fine.
Sure.
It is what it is. He's way more successful than I am. So what the fuck do I know? The point that I'm making is that clearly, despite all of these fuck ups, despite all the fact that all we ever do is we complain about college football, it's never been a better business to be in college football than it is
complaining
right
about
now.
college football is baked into the appeal of college football.
It is. And ESPN sees this and they want to invest even more in college
and
football.
That's where I think the debate about who controls college football is misguided. Who controls college football? ESPN. That's why it appears that the SEC has more power than the Big Ten.
Which is why I think we're going to get a divide in college football coverage here soon. Let's land the plane, shall we?
You don't think we're already there?
I think we're truly going to arrive at this point this year.
Okay.
And this is the reason why. Because let's go back to Burke Magnus, right? They're going to bring Josh Pate in. What does Josh Pate mostly talk about?
College football.
No. But what? SEC.
Oh, sure.
He spends a lot of time talking about the SEC. Yeah. I thought it was interesting that this could be an OG business topic, but for the purposes of this conversation, I think it's important to bring this in. The Athletic did a college football fan survey.
Yeah, they do this every year.
Do it every year. And the attention-grabbing headline was that Pat McAfee's Q score with Athletic readers, important context here.
Very important.
With Athletic readers, the Q score for Pat McAfee has gone down.
Right.
Okay. You know who has the lowest Q score rating in the Athletic piece? It's not McAfee. People were making a big deal about McAfee because McAfee means clicks, but it's actually Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah. I looked at it today for the first time.
The Q score rating for Paul Feinbaum is like 1%.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Right? But it doesn't matter. But Feinbaum works for who?
ESPN.
McAfee works for who?
ESPN.
Who has ESPN spent a shit ton of money on? The SEC.
Right.
So I think the real issue for college football, and by the way, if you don't believe me that they're all in on Pat McAfee, this was the response from Burke Magnus on social media to this Athletic survey. I say that people vote with their remote controls. So if 3 straight seasons of record high audiences for College Game Day before and after any measurement changes qualifies as declining support, then sign me up for more Pat McAfee. Mike Foss. Who's Mike Foss again?
I don't know. Who is Mike Foss?
Mike Foss is another ESPN guy.
Oh, okay.
What does he do? What does he here? He's the SVP of Taking It on the Shins. I have no idea what that means.
Is that communications?
Maybe it's, I was going to say. He's got to be a communications guy.
Yeah.
So 2.7 million people watch every Saturday. Feels like a complete sample size, but we could always ask the 500,000 daily instead. He's referring to his YouTube show. the Pat McAfee YouTube show. So clearly, ESPN likes the business of McAfee. They like the business of Bussin' with the Boys. They like the business of Josh Pate. They like the business of the SEC. Regardless of what you think about who belongs in the national championship picture, you know who continues to dominate in the ratings?
The SEC.
The SEC. Yeah. And as long as the SEC continues to be the dominant television product, we're not going to have honest conversations about where we are in college football.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem right now with all of college football. We're not having honest conversations of just how good these teams are. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if repeated college football playoff results, where you now have 3 seasons without an SEC team, will get the other.
It's going to take longer than that. I mean, that's just.
I'm not talking about ESPN. I'm talking about the others to finally start pushing back on. Yes, the SEC is the dominant television product, but that doesn't mean they are the dominant force in college football.
You sound like somebody that consumes more than college football, because the other conferences won't shut the fuck up about that.
Well, nobody takes Jim Phillips seriously about that shit.
Well, that's the problem. It's not he's not pushing back. It's that, look, I wrote a piece about this for Awful Announcing, and I stand by this. I get that Greg Sankey sounds ridiculous when he says that the SEC deserves 7 of the 12 spots of the college football playoff. I'm not arguing with that at all.
Okay.
But I'm an adult, and I recognize Greg Sankey has a job to do.
Sure.
And so,
just like Brett Yormark has a job to do with the Big 12.
And so, like, if you want to say this is propaganda, Greg Sankey should be ashamed of himself, I would say, I don't think you know what Greg Sankey's job is.
That's fair.
I would say that as an SEC fan, right, I'd rather have a commissioner that is saying ridiculous things to prop up the conference than be either the ACC, which has a fucking boob in charge, or the Big Ten, which has a guy that clearly does not like college sports in charge.
Who doesn't love boobs?
Oh, I love a good boob.
Okay.
But I don't want a boob like making decisions for my conference.
I don't know. There's 3 of them in Total Recall.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, sorry, you distracted me there. So, to your point, I think what you're hitting on, though, is the other reason why the SEC is always going to dominate in this regard. The cultures of the various conferences are just not the same thing.
The ACC does not operate as a monolith the way the SEC does.
So, to your point, you don't want to hear from Jim Phillips. I think your real issue is you don't want another conference commissioner LARPing as the SEC commissioner.
Sure.
And that's exactly what these other commissioners do, because not a soul in the ACC goes to Jim Phillips and go, hell yeah, Jim. It's more like, Jim, could you not? Like, I don't really care if Miami. Like, I don't care. Like, what's happening to my team?
Yeah. Jim's a university president.
Same with the Big Ten. That's the Big Ten, by the way. There's no monolithic culture in the Big Ten.
Agreed.
Okay.
And that was true, by the way, before
all this
from coast to coast.
And that's not going to change. That takes generations to change in the Big Ten. And I don't see that happening. Okay. I mean, hell, they can't even all get on the same page when it comes to private equity money.
Private equity, right.
Because you still got Michigan man who wants to tell you they're Michigan man.
Oh, did you see Michigan has now hired a new school president that is all in on private equity?
Oh, funny how that works out. Which means we're just going to get more realignment. And we close our college football segment with this bad boy. MHVER3. This might not sound like a familiar Twitter account, but if I said that's the dude from West Virginia, that's going to take you back to 20 years ago, when we really were hot and heavy on conference realignment. This is he's a West Virginia guy who's constantly talking about college realignment.
Yeah.
Constantly talking about expansion and rating of other conferences. And he tweeted this out, 2 days ago, and I thought this was hilarious. Eager to silence their critics that are starting to come out of the woodwork, the SEC is speeding up their timeline for additions to the conference. Expect the grant of rights of the ACC to be challenged very publicly and very directly soon. As if that hasn't already happened and hasn't already been settled. Also, again, this guy, all he does is he gets the pot stirred when it comes to conference realignment, and people take it. They send it to me. The only reason why this is in my timeline is because people have sent it to me. All right. And all the other conference realignment grifters glom onto this, and they just talk about it nonstop. I'm sure if I went to Tim Montemayor's YouTube account right now, the headline would be ACC implosion. That's probably going to be the case. But here's my question. If we're going to think about this logically, and this is why I ask you, SEC man, who in the ACC is going to fix the problem?
I have been saying this for...
Who's going to do that?
I've been saying this for probably about 5 years now. point to me in the ACC who makes the SEC better. Like, there's a reason. The SEC didn't expand to 16 because they wanted to go to 16. They expanded to 16 because they could get Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The end.
Now,
I would say Duke and Carolina as an overall product make the SEC better. Doesn't make it a better football product.
well, no, this gets to Giglio's thing. Hey, Duke, Carolina, come take this money, help our basketball product out,
Right.
help the brands out, but we need marks. We need teams that we can beat.
Oh, that's a silly thing because like that was supposed to be Vanderbilt's job.
And yet,
And here we are.
and
Like,
yet,
this is the thing. I've been saying this. I do a regular radio thing with my guys down at Jocks in Birmingham every Tuesday.
yeah.
And I've been saying this to them like since the postseason began. Like, look at what is happening at Indiana. Look at what had happened at Vanderbilt. Guys, Duke is coming. These schools that have real money and have gotten a taste of football success, they can turn it on when they are ready to turn it on in a way that a big public university in one of the two poorest states in America just cannot.
Now, the best part about the dude of West Virginia, once again, just throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks about the SEC implosion, is the counter to that from the other grifter saying, well, actually, what I'm hearing is that there are disgruntled SEC schools.
Yeah.
And those disgruntled SEC schools are looking at what Miami's doing. Because here's the interesting part. Here's the interesting wrinkle. Here's where Jim Phillips is not a boob.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually kind of smart that they negotiated this and came to terms on this. You know, Miami doesn't have to spread any of that money.
I saw this. Yeah.
Miami doesn't have to. It's funny how life comes full circle, right?
Right.
One of the big reasons why Miami left the Big East to join the ACC was for equal revenue share. Despite the fact that Miami was dominating the Big East in football, they were a broke program, so to speak. So them and Virginia Tech and others wanted to come to the ACC because of the feature that was equal revenue share. That is no longer a feature, as everybody's in it for themselves. So with the success initiatives that the ACC enacted recently, that was negotiated because of Clemson, because of Florida State, because of North Carolina, right? Miami does not have to spread the wealth.
Yeah.
So now this is something that we have seen start to proliferate. We said this to Jim Phillips at ACC Kickoff, that what you did in the ACC is absolutely going to be copied in the other conferences because the SEC top dogs are going to look at Vanderbilt and going, well, wait a minute. Not only are we sharing the revenue, but now you got your money, people, and that's fucking us.
Yeah.
Same thing's going to happen in the Big Ten. Indiana, how did Indiana do this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, equal revenue share and their money combined got them this. We can't have that happening. We are the actual brand. So there's going to be more success initiatives that'll probably unfold in these conferences as we go forward. But I can envision a scenario. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Florida is not going to leave the SEC to join the ACC. Mississippi State adds nothing to the ACC.
Agreed.
Right? South Carolina, they're never coming back. And yet they're a team that pops up in this
And
thing.
what year was it that the ACC expansion talks started with Miami and Virginia Tech?
Oh, God, you got to go back to like 03,
Oh,
02.
I think it was a little bit before that.
Maybe before that.
So
what is time, Demetri?
I say
What
that
is time?
because I remember being in school at Alabama during that time when Alabama was on crazy probation.
Yes.
And part of that crazy probation was for 2 years, they could not get any of the SEC revenue share. I remember Paul Feinbaum advocating for Alabama calling the ACC.
Texas.
Yeah.
Texas was in the same boat,
Yeah.
right? Texas and Oklahoma could have been in the ACC if you can talk about timeline changes and whatnot. The point is, I don't buy that these schools would jump to the ACC, but I do buy that Miami getting to keep the money is going to cause the big dogs in these other conferences to go. So about these success initiatives or changing around the distribution so that these other teams that are making life difficult on themselves to get to that point.
Yeah,
I can see that happening.
The only thing I disagree with you on there, because I mostly agree. The only thing that I disagree on is it's not going to be within the confines of the SEC, the ACC, the big, like these schools are going off on their own.
Oh, well, no, that's when we get to 2030. When we get to when the next television rights things, I mean, I've been a broken record on this. I keep saying 2030, 2030, 2030. I've been saying 2030 since 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. And back in 2015, that's a long way from now, but I'm telling you, we're never going to see the end of these deals because something different's going to evolve out of this. And it's looking like I'm going to be more right than not because something's going to give by the time we get to the next round of television negotiations.
Yeah.
And not everybody could be eating from the same table.
Yeah, agreed.
Straight up. Just straight up on that.
Housekeeping.
Did we just do an hour intro to the show?
No.
Okay.
No, we did more like 35 minutes.
Oh, okay.
You forgot what we did before that.
That's true.
Because this is a very Tarantino-esque episode today.
Right.
Very Tarantino-esque episode today. Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We got the secret stash. Go to the OG.shop. Again, that's the OG.shop. Mike's put together some interesting designs, to say the least, including my new favorite, our OG NASCAR-inspired shirt with our corporate champions on it. So go buy that. It's fantastic stuff. You can also go to breakingtea.com/OG. We got our Dead Conference, our Dead Logos collection over on Breaking Tea. And speaking of things that sound complicated, like, wait a minute, you have 2 spots to buy merch? Sometimes we have 3.
Ooh.
Because diversification. Speaking of complications, we've got the YouTube membership channel.
Right.
In fact, Demetri and I consider this the plug for OG Business. Demetri and I will be doing an OG Business, which will be available on the YouTube membership channel. In that OG Business, I believe we will be discussing, I wrote these things down, the Jacksonville Reporter saga.
Yes.
And how it exposed a lot of people. The Turning Point USA halftime show that we're not telling you who's a part of it.
I'm so excited.
And heated rivalry.
Oh, we're talking about heated rivalry.
I think it's important now.
Alrighty.
Heated rivalry is enough of the thing that I'm wondering why the NHL is not interested in tapping into that, if you will. Tapping into that.
God damn, we think so much alike. That is exactly what I keyed in on too.
Yeah. There's a Drive to Survive-esque thing with heated rivalry but in the case of heated rivalry, there are a lot of people in the NHL that are being like, I don't know if we want that association.
Yeah.
But hey, you could tap into a new audience. I'm just saying. So all those things will come up in
Tap
OG
that
Business.
ass into a new audience.
Hey, now.
You're welcome, Enovana.
Boobs, tapping ass. What a show today. So all that will be on the YouTube membership channel. It's just $5. Now, here's where things get complicated. Some of you have voiced your opinion. And we listen. You voiced your opinion that you don't like that it's video only, that you would like a audio version of this. Fine. Totally understand. So what I come to find out is that YouTube membership gets you Discord access.
Oh.
Okay, so you can go to a private Discord server through your
Pepe
YouTube.
the Frog memes.
Not that one.
No.
That's more like 4chan anyway.
Oh, okay.
Or 8chan or whatever it's up to now. So you can tie a Discord account to your YouTube account, and then you will be visited by a
Three ghosts.
No, just a little thing that says pending server invite to the OG Discord.
Okay.
Where you have a link to an RSS feed that is private that you can add to your podcast.
As I was uploading today's episode of the Women's Basketball Podcast, I stumbled upon
the secret
private
podcast
RSS feed. Yes.
The OG Media secret podcast feed.
It's so secret that people that work here don't even know it, like aren't even told about it.
See? That's how secret it is. So yes, you can tie together Discord and YouTube, and then on the Discord server, you'll find the private RSS link and you'll get the audio only versions of our YouTube premium stuff. So go check that out. Big thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. You can check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Attorneys and counselors at law. You can maybe put it into a contract to give to everybody that you can't share that secret RSS feed. And I have a contract that says so. But seriously, if you have any sort of small business legal needs, contracts, policies, etc., they can do that for you. So check them out online at wh.lawyer. Big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty. You can check them out at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. They've been around for 25 years. They've been in the community. They're giving back to the community with their Hometown Hero initiative. In the meantime, just contact them. You've got some thoughts on your house. Maybe you're thinking about selling it, but you see that the market might not be right. Well, talk to the experts about that. You can go on instinct or you can talk to the experts. So Hometown Realty is going to help you out with that. And of course, if you have a house, you probably need insurance for that house. How much are you spending on home and auto? When's the last time you thought about it? Start that conversation with our guy, Matt Davis, InsureGardner.com.
Probably the last time I was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably the last time I thought about it.
Well, see, why don't you do something about it? Contact Matt Davis at State Farm. Also, the thing about Matt is he's expanding his horizons. So he does financial planning as well. So if you're like me and you fly by the seat of your pants and you're wondering, how am I going to pay off this credit card bill this month? Probably not the best plans for your future. So think ahead.
Yeah.
Got some goals. You want to reach those goals? Matt can help you with that with some financial planning. So go check them out. InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277. We're going to check in with Mike Maniscalco here in a second. He's brought to you by Brassfield Accounting, Homer, Alaska, and an office in the RTP. And while we've spent a good chunk of time talking about him being a fractional CFO, meaning he can handle a lot of your business end,
right?
Especially if you deal with government grants and making sure you've got all the right paperwork and everything's on the up and up. He's doing taxes now.
Oh,
so it's not just about preparing everything you need for tax time. They'll do your taxes now too. So check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, brought to you by Brassfield Accounting. It is tax season. It is Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play. Mike!
Is it tax season in Homer, Alaska?
It's always.
Okay.
In Homer, Alaska.
I mean, I know there's 6 hours behind us.
And it's also always time to talk to the NSMA, North Carolina Sportscaster of the Year, Mike Maniscalco.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you've gotten the title correct, Joe. And one day all of this could be yours, but for right now it's mine. Right now it's mine. And I am happy to share my time with you.
Hey, did you get a 10-minute after the Detroit game?
Yeah, actually I did.
You did?
So, yeah, I did. Me and Tripp, actually that's why Tripp did not partake in the radio broadcast in St. Louis. He actually got 2, 5, and a 10, and then it got reviewed even more. If you
that's a match, right? Like he got like a full game misconduct. So yeah, he's suspended for the next game. Sorry.
I went right up to the line, having seen Bull Durham. I went right to the line. And then I didn't reiterate it when they asked me to say it again. No,
it's one thing to miss the Andrew Kopp cross check. That's one thing to miss it. Yeah. Fine. It is what it is, man. But if you're officials, you just got to eat it and move on with your life. Tacking on 2 10 minutes for Ghost of Spare and Aho, I'm like, guys, come on. What are we doing?
I mean, that becomes a bigger thing because if you accumulate enough misconducts, you get fined for doing that. So, but that is the one where if you're the officials, just skate off the ice.
Yeah,
let them say whatever, unless they physically accosted the officials, which neither of them did. That's the one where you got to be like, okay, time for us to go. Detroit has the win. That's enough. I generally don't comment on officiating like that. This is the thing that bothers me the most about, and I can do a broader topic on this. It's not just the NHL now that we have replay in all of these sports. I am so sick of when I'm trying to relax and like watch another sport like football, and it takes 8 minutes for what's a catch and what's not a catch. We know what's a catch or it's not, right? We can all figure it out in 45 seconds. Why do we need 7 minutes for this? The thing that pisses me off the most about the National Hockey League is they give coaches the ability to challenge a few things, but not everything.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, if you think it's a penalty, and Rod Brindamore, and I know you've talked to him about this, Joe, and Demetri, it's lovely to see you.
Hi.
Thank you.
You just get going here.
Yeah. He's talked about this, and he actually has a really great solution, which is you take the one referee that's on the ice, because there's 2 of them, you put him in the penalty box and he can review the calls right away or say like, hey, we missed one and that's fine. And Rod has explained it far better than I did in that 5-second synopsis. The problem is you go to overtime and every review is league initiated. It is not initiated by the coaching staff. So, it's the last 2 minutes of the game. So therefore the booth reviews are all, it's out of the coach's hands. It's up to the league now. Well, they do that for overtime. And folks, if you've watched any sport, and it's not just, please, I don't care if you're a fan of whatever team. They don't do this to hate your team, right? This is not some conspiracy against the Canes or disrespect for that. This league messes up calls all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
In every night, there are calls where both sides are just infuriated by the officiating. But you have a system on something that ends the game that you can look at and correct, and you willfully don't do it. That is my issue with what took place on Monday night in Detroit. You can fix that. And you know what? If you want to review it and then stand there and say, well, we didn't see enough of the cross check, his arms were extended, but it wasn't you want to come up with an excuse, just don't mark it good and, mark it 8, dude, and walk off. Don't do that. So
although
mark it 0, there are rules.
Congratulations to Sebastian Aho. I believe that's his first NHL career 10-minute, if I'm not mistaken. So
correct, yeah.
Put it in the baby book. Oh, one other thing about Monday night's game that I need confirmation for. I speculated about this on Tuesday because, as I said on Tuesday's show, I did not realize it was Fedorov night in Detroit.
Oh yeah.
And that's by the way, that's an amazing. Little Caesars Arena is an amazing.
Was Anna Kournikova there?
What is she up to these days?
That's a good question. You know what? You two talk hockey. I'm going to figure out what Anna Kournikova is up to.
I have not heard in a really long time. Anyway, so I didn't realize it was Fedorov night. I know that's what kind of pushed the broadcast back a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a smidge, right? And I was kind of flabbergasted. And then I'm like, that man went into the Hall of Fame over 10 years ago. So why are we just now getting around to doing this with Fedorov? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. They've had this icy relationship, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And it's the Canes. And the Canes are part of the reason why. They didn't pick the Canes to do Fedorov night on purpose, did they?
No, I don't think so. They wanted
a realized offer sheet that they also kind of had somewhere in the back room, right?
Yeah, if they wanted to do that, they could have done it against the Ducks, and that was a big part of Fedorov's speech, where he got the WWE pop on the microphone when he said, I can say it now and clear the air. The biggest mistake I ever made was leaving, because he took Anaheim's money.
Yes.
By the way, he would have taken Carolina's money had
he signed the sheet.
Yeah, had the Red Wings not matched. And I think, a few of the numbers have floated around, but I think it would have been, he got paid $28 million for getting to the conference final and then winning the Stanley Cup that year. So
because Peter Carmanos, the owner at the time, essentially did a poison pill contract, knowing full damn well the Canes were not getting to the conference finals in 98, 99. So he's like, psh, but they will, because they were running hot. And that's why I was kind of like, it kind of like brought back all these memories of, oh yeah, I remember it. But as Giglio pointed out, without the offer sheet, without Fedorov going and without the Red Wings matching it, we don't end up where we are today.
No, very fair.
You do not have the Broadcaster of the Year award without that offer sheet back in 1998, if we follow it to its end line.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, that then forced the Canes to go in a different direction and that's where they finally find Rod Brindamore and make that trade later. 100% agree with that. But it was a fantastic ceremony. And by the way, that was a different time. There was no salary cap. So that's why, it was just a matter of, did Mike Ilitch want to spend all of that money? And Fedorov was, for us at that time, if you remember, he was one of the guys. The white skates. Yeah, he was. You can point to Steve. That team was incredibly loaded, even before the one that wins in 0-2 against Carolina. But he was kind of and I remember it growing up in Buffalo, because Alexander Mogilny comes over and defects, and then there's Fedorov, and all these Russian players are coming over, and you're like, yeah, well, they're not going to play well here in the NHL. And you get Mogilny scoring 76 and Fedorov doing what he does. And then the Russian 5 with what, Detroit was able to put on the ice. And it changed the game. It was a great ceremony. It really, truly was. If it didn't last, when you're broadcasting and you're on the air and you're like, we've got to now fill like 10 more minutes out of nowhere. Okay. Well,
and you probably have your bathroom breaks timed perfectly. So this is just pushing things back.
Like I knew what I was involved in, and then we had to revamp. And in Detroit, it's kind of like Lenovo Center. Yeah, it's not right outside the door. You've got to plan yourself a good 2.5, 3 minutes.
So what is Anna Kournikova up to these days?
She turned 80 a month ago. Yeah,
really.
Good for Anna Kournikova.
Yeah, at 44 years old.
Awesome.
She and is it Enrique? Yeah, Enrique Iglesias still kicking.
They're still together. Yeah, good for them. Happy for the couple. Welcome.
Yeah, I can confirm she was not in the building.
Okay, well, that's probably for the best. Were the Canes in the building last night?
No.
What happened last night?
You know what? I think
together. What happened last night?
Okay, this is going to be, and I'll bring you guys into this one. Here's one of our favorite sports cliches. Don't let the last loss beat you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that the loss on Monday night, it lingered a little bit in the Canes game. They were not as sharp. They did good things. And Joel Hofer was unbelievable. His glove hand, that was one of the best performances I've seen from a goalie this year against the Canes. But it was one of those performances where the Canes were doing enough to be in the game, but not enough to take it over. And for 40 minutes, the two best lines for Carolina was the Jordan Stahl, Jordan Martinook, Seth Jarvis line, which you can live with, and that's fine. But then the Mark Jankowski, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Eric Robinson line. That game last night, that needs the Sebastian Aho line. It needs the Logan Stankoven line. They need to be the ones to take over. Now, they had chances, but there was a lot of, that's a good chance, but there was no follow-up to it. And look, St. Louis, it was this felt like my high school football team when we were everybody's homecoming. So it was the Fedorov night in Detroit on Monday, and last night it was the Blues Hall of Fame night.
Yeah.
And so, the building was packed and people were excited about it. And, the first period goes nothing. And you're like, okay, not a bad road period, not great, but, good enough to get you to the second period and put you in a chance. And then, the special teams really let the Canes down last night too. You give up a shorthanded goal and a power play goal against a team like St. Louis and get that building charged. You can't every night. And I know that it's funny because are you happy now? Because a few weeks ago when the Canes were up 3-0, everybody was mad.
Yeah.
But then the Canes were down 3-0 and they came back and, okay, is it better? No, of course not. You don't want to be in that position. But this is the other thing about this league, man. This is like Demetri, I love this one. This is like SEC football now. It just matters more, man, because everybody's in it. And everybody should be in the playoffs according to the fan bases in the NHL, the way that it goes. But every team has talent.
That's not to get everybody.
That's right.
Every team has talent. Every team has talent, and if you don't put your best game on the ice, you're going to lose. And the Canes had pushes, but not enough to win last night.
So also, it's not lost on me when you don't have Jacob Slavin in the lineup.
Yeah, that helps.
Don't look the same.
Or hurts, I should say.
Yeah, things don't look the same when Slavin's not in the lineup. And
he's got to get ready for that big day at Two Roosters coming up.
This is true.
Yeah.
He does have an appearance this weekend at Two Roosters. You should go check that out. Maybe that's what it is. The maintenance day was so he can get his tummy right.
That's right.
For all of that dairy this weekend. No, this is on a serious note. We're still it's great that he's back, but I guess we're still dealing with the lingering effects of whatever it was that has kept him out of the lineup, which we don't talk about in the NHL. We don't talk about it.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Lower body.
It's lower body, upper body, mid body. And, every now and again, you'll get, when you see exactly what it is, you get what it is. Look, in this case, we've talked about Jacob Slavin all year. I am all for, I don't like load management in the NBA.
But real quick, this is something that actually was recommended. This is not like NBA load management stuff. We got this. We got a road game here. This is actually something as part of his rehab process to get him back up to speed. This was something that was recommended for him to do. This is not just willy-nilly decision.
No, this comes from the doctors.
Okay.
This comes from the people with the medical degrees of saying, look, if you want him to be at his best and to be able to truly contribute this season, there's going to be spots where you can't play him in a game because you're coming back. And the other thing about last night too, this is an excuse, but you play that Detroit game, it goes long on the ceremony, then you go to overtime, then you fly to St. Louis and you gain the hour, but everything is now sped up. That game was played at 6:30 St. Louis time. So you can say, well, that's great. You weren't sitting around. Well, that's the game where you want the extra hour when you played the night before, right? You want it to be your body clock. It's 7:30 or 8:30, not 6:30 here. So you got to get in and try to figure everything out. And you want to make sure, and I will stress this again, you want to make sure that Jacob Slavin is 100% or as close as he can be to it off these injuries when you get into March and when you get into April, because like the March schedule, you guys have seen it, it's every other day. There is no time off. April is every other day. And then you have the playoffs, which is every other day. So what I like about this opportunity for the Canes with what's going on with Slavin with this, again, the rehab, however they are phrasing it right now, off of the injury to see where it goes in, is you get to see where he is the next day. And if he feels better, it can give you a little bit more indication of how much you can push him as you get further down the line here in this season.
Back to the positives. Jackson Blake. I feel like Eric Tulsky tends to know what he's doing. And that contract's looking like a bargain already, is it not?
Oh, yeah, already. I mean, last year he was 17 goals, 17 assists, and he's going to crush that. He's going to fly right past it. And he can be, at times this year, the Canes' best forward, and that's no joke, it's not hyperbole, how he can get to pucks, how he can control a shift, and he's got that confidence to do it now. And I think for Jackson Blake, that's the biggest thing. Like, when you get into this league, you don't know what you can do till you get out there and, I can make that move. The move I made in college, or the move that I made in, if you had time in the AHL or junior, well, then you start to do it in the league. And you're like, oh, okay. And then that leads into other things that that you have in the repertoire. You just got to crack that out. But for Blake, he's also a guy who's constantly trying to get better. This isn't the reason why you look at that deal that the Canes put with, and I'll put Logan Stankoven on that one too. The work ethic that those two bring in. They didn't sign that contract. And same thing with Seth Jarvis. They didn't sign their contracts, and it's all of a sudden, all right, off to the beach, see you guys later. Right. They're still the last ones off the ice. They're still the ones talking with Jeff Daniels. All right, show me this clip, or if the coach wants to show them that, they're learning from it. So the thing that I like about Jackson Blake, though, the hands, the speed, but for his size, you could easily say he's going to be a guy who doesn't want to get into those battles. He gets right into it. He really does. And when he gets a little bit stronger, he's going to be able to use all that to his advantage and when he finds the empty spaces, but is still able to win those board battles or those one-on-one battles that you talk about, he's going to be a good player for a very long time in this league. I can see him, last year, you always want to try to project. I could see him being a guy who could get to 30 goals in this league, the way that he plays.
All right. Before we say goodbye, we got the last regular season matchup against the Florida Panthers coming up on Friday. The previous matchups have been spicy. And honestly, Mike, the only time in the regular season where I have lost my zen, the Florida Panthers, I try to protect my peace, right? Establish boundaries. Except that the Panthers find a way when they play the Canes for me to be like, lose my zen and be like, what the fuck? So Friday, what I need the Carolina Hurricanes to do is to come out there and look like the Hershey Mites 8U and just come out there, not even worry about
it's this kid particular.
The goalie. I need Freddie Anderson to zoom out of the crease and just start wailing on people. I need the kid that the goalie's wailing on. I need that to be Brad Marchand. That's what I need. That's what I want out of the Carolina Hurricanes on Friday. Am I going to get that on Friday? Am I going to get fight?
No, probably not. And all those kids have been suspended for a month and a half now, so you couldn't sign them if you wanted to. If you're that's the no. You know what? I
for the folks watching on YouTube, you saw the clip. For those who are just listening on podcast, I played the viral clip of what happened up in Hershey earlier in the week. 8U kids clearly staged. This is now the second time in the month where we've had these mites fights broken out. Now the crowd's loving it. I thought it was funny. But I could see where USA Hockey would have a problem, and they're investigating it now, and the coaches are suspended, all that kind of stuff. But all jokes aside, I think a lot of fans have once again circled this game against Florida. It is just the regular season. And if Adam Gold were listening in on this conversation right now, I could see the steam leaving his ears right now as we talk about tone-setting regular season games. And I feel like these Florida-Carolina games are these tone-setting regular season games. Florida's reminding the Canes, hey guys, we still have you. And I think the Canes have to show a little something on Friday. Am I talking too much like a fan right now?
No, I don't think so. Because I am somebody who does lean into that. Don't tell me that it's just a regular season game. There are some games where
Gold's
you go
gonna
into it.
the studio like
That's
the
no,
Kool-Aid Man
and that, look, that's
just a regular season game.
yeah, that's fine. But you know what? If you can say that who wins or loses doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's fine. But how you play in those games does matter. I mean, that's the thing to me. Where when you say, does it set the tone or is it something that carries over? Look, these teams have played each other twice in 3 years for the right to go to the Stanley Cup out of the Eastern Conference. And Florida's figured out that we don't need to be in first place. We don't need to win the President's Trophy. We just need to get in. And everybody in the Eastern Conference is absolutely leery of that fact, going, man, if they get in, do we play them? We don't want them. Do you want them early? But if you're the Canes, you're looking over the fence and you're like, yeah, we want a piece of you. And we're not going to let you push us around the ice. That should be what you want. And I'll go back to, there were some regular season games when the Boston Bruins were the dragon that they had to slay. And the year that they beat them, there was a game where the Canes were like, we're not going to put up with Brad Marchand's crap. We're not going to do this. We're not dealing with this here tonight. So you guys know when it really gets the monies on the table, we're going to be here for you. We're not going to go away. And look, would I love this to be the Syracuse Bulldogs bringing back all of the greats who have retired? Would I love to see Ogie Oglethorpe get his contract here tonight and just go after that? There's something you need to know about the Florida Panthers, what they do and why they're so good. They're just not the bane of the Carolina Hurricanes' existence right now. The Tampa Bay Lightning absolutely detest that organization and what they do. Yeah. And there are a few others in the East. The Bruins aren't too keen on them right now, although that temperature, I guess, got lessened after you lose your best player, your second best player in Marchand to Florida with what happens. But I will use Tampa as the example. They go after Brandon Hagel because Brandon Hagel had a very bad hit on Alexander Barkov, and Florida's never forgot about it. And they run Hagel every time they play Tampa. So when Tampa, and we've seen this in the preseason, we've seen this in the regular season, take a look at the penalty printout for those games. It's like War and Peace. But Tampa tries to go after Florida, and Florida's like, nah, we're good. Yeah. And then 3 shifts later, somebody hits somebody and, creates a big ruckus. And then Tampa's like, let's go. And Florida's like, nah, we're good. And, it's one of those things where it's just annoying. It's the one kid who's like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And then he does it. And then you go to hit him and you're the one who gets in trouble.
Yes.
So they are the masters at that. And it's only going to get worse because Matthew Tkachuk is coming back. Brad Marchand is out right now with an undisclosed reason for not playing, but I'm sure that he will be fine. But no, Friday night, is it we're going to beat the ever-loving dog crap out of you and now we're ready for the playoffs? No, it's not that.
No, that's not it.
But I think what it is when Florida does their stuff, it's I'm not big on this time turn the other cheek and skate to the bench if it doesn't get caught, right? I'm on all right, I'm going to take the 2-minute penalty. And because I'm going to let you know you're not going to do this tonight. And we don't care you can literally do that. We don't care what the final score is in this one. We're going to let you know that we're here and we're not going anywhere. And look, if Kool-Aid Man wants to break down the door and say it doesn't matter, I can live with this point. I think it's game 48 for the Kings.
Yes.
So I can see that. And it's going to be a long time before these two play each other again, if they do in the playoffs. But you can have a game against somebody who that you're going to see somewhere down the line, or you think you're going to see, or they're King Kong, and you got to knock them off the Empire State Building.
So do we troll? See, now you got me thinking, Mike. Do we troll? Do I ask Mikey P, who does a lot of the graphic stuff for us? Do I ask him to do a version of Adam as the Kool-Aid Man?
Just by saying it on the show, you're going to get it.
Barging into your mentions.
You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. And look, man, there's so many ways. Like there's so many ways to look at this. But I truly do believe. Like, look, you don't think that it matters? Fine, you don't think that it matters. But the guys who play, it does matter.
Of course,
it does matter.
No. I think you're missing my overall amusement.
Oh no, I get your
overall amusement that I have is that the three of us can absolutely talk shit about Adam on this podcast. But he can't on his radio show.
My favorite Adam Maniscalco moment Because
I have many of them.
my single favorite is so I was sitting in the producer's studio after the show doing my shit to get our show up on the internet and everything. Mike, Lauren, and Adam are in the talk studio.
Yeah, so the talk studio.
Right? And I can't even remember what it was they were arguing about. Mike, do you know what I'm about to say? Like, I can't even tell you what it is they were arguing about. And Mike says to Adam, I'm not going to do this anymore. You're just being a contrarian. And Adam goes, I don't think I'm a contrarian. And Mike says, Jesus Christ.
And there you go. And there you go.
There's the prestige.
Look, man.
The reveal.
And
No, there was
no, look, Bomani.
No, there was another one. I can share this one. This is one of my all-time favorites. As you know, sometimes we had like appearances or things that you had to go to, or we had meetings outside of the office, believe it or not. And Adam and I both love baseball. But when he has a baseball take, if it didn't agree with mine, it would turn into we'd turn into like 5-year-olds throwing sand at each other. And
I would walk away.
I got to
area once because you guys were arguing about the Yankees. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm out.
And so, you know, it was one of those things. I don't mind. I love talking sports. That's why I got into the career that I did. But I had to go. And Adam stops me and asks me something. And I go, I don't have time. And he goes, what do you mean? It's just a question. And I go, well, what's your answer? And he says it. And I go, that's my answer. And he goes, no, it's not. So, and on that, I'm like, I'll talk when I get back. So
Bomani said it best. We're all going to be retired, doing whatever. Gold's going to be in the old folks' home, arguing about the Mets pitching rotation with a bunch of other people like hooked up to oxygen machines. They're like, no. They're like, huh? It's like, and that's another thing. The Jets should have hired Mike Tomlin back in 2026. That's what they should have done.
They should have outlawed bunting.
The Aristocrats.
They should have done.
There you go. It all comes back to outlawing the sacrifice bunt. All right, Mike, we will talk to you later.
All right, great to see you, boys. Thank you.
Big thanks to our friends at Two Roosters. When you go to the Canes game on Friday, get the Slavin Sunday. It's the best deal in the building. Yes.
Probably the best thing in the building.
Likely.
Yeah.
Highly likely. We get it. Going to sporting events can get expensive. So you're looking for bang for your buck. Yeah, that's it. The Slavin Sunday. And you don't have to worry about a maintenance day with a Slavin Sunday. Now, if I have a Slavin Sunday, I might need a maintenance day, but I power through because I love it so much.
Right.
And they got their classic flavors back at the shop. So check them out. Locations across the triangle. Go to tworoosters.com. I had the peanut butter.
Dude,
cookie,
I was about to say.
chocolate cookie one.
The peanut butter, what is it? Peanut butter cookie dough?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? There's all the red wine and chocolate.
I haven't had that one yet.
Sneaky good.
Is it? Okay.
I got
Joe
it.
rides for the carrot cake.
I got to be honest with you. I got the red wine and chocolate thinking, I'm going to hate this.
And yet
here I am. Evangelized.
Go get it. It's fantastic. Look, Two Roosters does not miss. Jared at Two Roosters does not miss. Neither does Gordon when it comes to his predictions. He used to have a bit where we would call him Hank, right? Like he's
like the hammer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And back in my old WIOD South Florida days, right? But Gordon does not miss when it comes to predictions as to how things are going to happen with the interest rates. So if you're thinking about refinancing, you are looking at the rates. Are they going to go up? They're going to go down. Well, first and foremost, don't pay closing costs. Don't tie yourself in. Typically, people keep their mortgage for about 4 years before they have a need to refinance. Could be for a home remodel, could be consolidation of debt, could be because the rates came down. The point is, on average, people take about 4 years to refinance. If you pay closing costs, it typically takes about 8 years to break even on those closing costs just to get a slightly lower rate. That'll be obsolete in a couple of months.
Right.
See where the math ain't mathing?
Don't math.
So, math with our friends at Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com. Take that thing to close. Tell them we sent you, and you will get a goodie from Roback. Oh, yes. Check out roback.com. I believe their final call, their last call, is still going on right now. 30% on clearance items right now.
Oh, okay.
Very rarely does Roback have site-wide sales. especially at 30%.
Right.
So if you've had your eye on a hoodie, shorts, just check it out. See if they got your sizes and take advantage of the sale.
Let me
30% off.
Let me throw this out to you. For anybody that has looked at Rowback and said, that's a little expensive for my taste. Think about what 30% is then.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Also, are they a little pricey? Yes, but I can tell you, especially because I wear the hoodies all the time, they don't pill. They don't they're fantastic.
The performance hoodie has become my favorite type of clothing, period.
I might actually go on the website when we're done with the show and go buy one for 30% off. Just saying.
I'm not even waiting until we're done with the show.
Might be a thing. So check them out. Rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20 or just take advantage of the 30% off right now. No code needed. No code, overrated Pearl Jam album.
Oh, wrong.
Overrated Pearl Jam album.
That's one of my favorites. Actually.
Not overrated. You would say that. Not overrated would be our friends at Color Graphic. They brought you A Brief History of Triangle Good. We're going to bring that back this summer. We're kind of corralling topics. In the meantime, contact our friends at Color Graphic. Sales at Color Graphic. Did you know that OG Light is going to be available at RDU Terminal 2 in the Bond Brothers location?
Fantastic.
So Color Graphic, well, we do have some tap handles that you had gotten for us, and those have been used. Color Graphics working on one that has a QR code. So that way you're just chilling there, bored, waiting for your flight. You just got to put your camera up to it and it'll take you to OG stuff.
Look at that.
All great stuff. That's what Color Graphic can do for you. So hit them up at sales@colorgraphic.com. Again, that's sales@colorgraphic.com. Probably need to come up with a new AI Zeus of some sort that's not wearing a bra, as Giglio always likes to point that out. All right, so yesterday,
who's got them things?
As I mentioned at the start of the show, sometimes you talk about things in a general sense because you have an idea the news is going to hit, but you can't confirm it yet. Well, that was it with Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. So Dan Morgan, general manager for the Carolina Panthers, comes out yesterday, unprompted, starts the press conference, their first offseason media availability, and says, we're going to pick up Bryce Young's fifth-year option. This has always made the most amount of sense. We've been trying to tell people this is a thing that's going to happen. We talked to Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. We talked to Julian Council from Locked On Panthers. We've talked about this. Based on what we've known from your tiny prince, Bryce Young, while I believe he's won a bunch of people over this year, it still makes economic sense to just pick up the fifth-year option and know what you have for the next 2 years at a bargain.
I think that this year solidified we're not starting over, right? Like they were ahead of schedule. Next year was supposed to be the playoff year.
Yeah.
But now you're in a position where fuck this development shit. It's time to add people that make us better right now. And I think this is a key time to do it, right? Because next year's quarterback class in the draft supposed to be pretty excellent. So,
well, you don't want to get Ty Simpson right now?
I don't want to do Colin Cowherd.
I was going to say, did you see Colin Cowherd?
I told Mitch Northam from the women's basketball podcast, huge Steelers fan, sent that to me, and I said, in spirit, not wrong. For Ty Simpson,
no,
very wrong,
very wrong, very wrong. We'll talk about the Steelers in a second, but anyway,
I mean, the upcoming quarterback class is supposed to be really good, but you kind of undo the momentum if you are starting over at the key position in football. And I think, so this is what Lauren and I were talking about we did a sort of season wrap up on This Team Is Killing Us this week. Bryce is kind of the polar opposite Lamar Jackson, whereas in terms of talent in this league, you can't do much better than Lamar.
Yeah.
But do you trust him in a big moment?
No.
You could do a lot better talent-wise than Bryce, but in a big moment, his demeanor is kind of what I want. It's kind of the prototype of what I want.
Also, let's look at the totality of the NFL, and I think there's a theme of today's show. It's like, can we just be honest about what you have? Okay, can we just be honest about what the SEC is right now? Can we just be honest about what Bryce Young is? Bryce Young is a starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah,
that's tough to do. That's hard to do. That's a fleeting thing. He's a starting quarterback. Is he a top 5 quarterback? No. Is he a top 10 quarterback? No, he's not.
That might be the ceiling, and that's probably unrealistic.
And that's probably unrealistic too. But we're venturing into are you a franchise QB that you break the bank for, or are you a QB that you have right now and you can trust as a starter to win you some ball games? That's Bryce Young right now. So why would you want to, given how the economics work, why would you mess that up? I agree with you. The Panthers, you might have a plan. You might be ahead of schedule. You might not be on schedule. Either way, you have to be flexible with what your plan is.
And this is why, as much as I like Dan Morgan, this is where we're going to find out how good of a GM he is.
So, hey, we did something this year to build off of. We know what we've got in certain pieces. Now we got to double down.
We also know what we don't have, which is why, Joe, you're not going to make the pass rush appreciably better by getting someone at 19 and developing them.
No.
You're not going to solve the Nick Scott problem at number 19, because the guy that solves it today in the draft is Caleb Downs. You're going to have to trade up to get Caleb Downs.
Yes.
Use the 19th pick to go out and fucking get a star.
I think Joe just tingled a little bit with your Downs reference and moving up. He would absolutely he would do the Colin Cowherd trade 6 picks to move up and get Caleb Downs.
I told Lauren this week there are 2 people in the draft that I think make you better today. And they are Reuben Bain and Caleb Downs.
I would agree.
And I think Caleb Downs is the best player in this draft, period.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
But here's the thing. At 19 is a first round pick. You can go out and get that game-breaking speedster receiver that we say Bryce is missing right now. You can go out and get Trey Hendrickson, that type of pass rusher that we say Bryce is missing right now. It is time to add difference makers right now, because strengthening the pass rush is going to motivate Ejiro Evero not to play zone coverage 84% of the time. Trade that pick. Trade that pick for someone that helps you tomorrow.
I don't know if Dan Morgan
I don't think he's capable of it.
I don't think he's wired that way.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't think he's wired that way.
Yeah.
So that's why they're just going to think, they're going to see if they can find somebody at that position that will help them now.
I mean,
at 19, as difficult as it might be.
Yeah.
But they took a game. But look, to Dan Morgan's credit, they took a bet on Teteroa McMillan, and he might be the offensive.
He
rookie
probably
of the
is.
year.
Yeah.
He probably is. They took a bet on him, and he absolutely paid off this year.
Yeah.
Xavier Leggett, not so much. Now, that was Dan Morgan's first pick. That one has not paid off.
And also, I think there is reason to believe that was one of the last picks sort of like pushed by Dave Tepper.
It's interesting. I love being ahead of the game on some of these things. And I said that about Tepper. Like, you know, is there a correlation here that we haven't really heard from Tepper this season? Not that he's not visible.
Yeah.
He's clearly in the background of the celebration shots. He's still doing things for holiday charity events and all that kind of stuff. It's not like he's disappeared.
Right.
It's just that we're not hearing from Dave Tepper. And is there a direct correlation? Sure enough, in the Charlotte Observer, what do I see this week? That exact premise. I'm like, man, I was there 8 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Come on
I told Lauren, I think it is a combination of we're hearing from him less, so they are winning, but also they are winning, so we're hearing from him less. I think as frustrated as it is that
they weren't early.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Let's not misremember how the year started.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to do that. My point is, yes, they came down to Ryan Fitzgerald hitting a game-winning field goal a lot. But that's a fun way to win, man. And that probably does enough to erase the frustration of what they didn't get done from a guy that used to go running looking for microphones.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to get to. Woo. It's a lightning round.
So Mike Tomlin pulled the Uno reverse card on the Steelers and said, you can't fire me?
That's right. You can't fire me. I quit.
I quit. What I think is interesting, specifically to the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And I think Steve Bisciotti, who's the owner of the Ravens, I don't have the clip, but he joked while he was doing his end of season press conference and how they're going to go about replacing John Harbaugh. Somebody told him, hey, by the way, Tomlin just quit. He resigned. And Bisciotti was like, oh, word? And somebody had joked with him. I'm like, hey, you know, maybe he comes here. And he goes, yeah, he'll be here if John Harbaugh ends up in Pittsburgh. It's like, just do the swap. I mean, again, the Steelers and the Ravens have the chance to do, as the kids like to say, they have a chance to do the funniest thing and just swap coaches.
I'll yes and you. Throw Kevin Stefanski in there. You might just throw those 3 guys in a bag, shake them up, and they all may be in different AFC North destinations.
Meanwhile, Joe Burrow's like,
right.
Okay, so these guys win.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Zach still has a job? What's going on here, right? So yes, that would be pretty funny. Now, anyway, I'm glad this conversation's over.
Mm-hmm.
It had to end. Because I found the whole Mike Tomlin conversation in Pittsburgh to be exhausting. I know Giglio made this point yesterday. It's very Dave Doran-esque.
Sure.
In that there's a cycle to these Mike Tomlin things. But what I don't want people to misconstrue, and this kind of popped up yesterday, Mike Tomlin and what he was able to do in Pittsburgh is impressive. If he does not work in the NFL as a head coach again, he is a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because he won a Super Bowl back in 2008. It's because in those 19 seasons, they never had a losing season. That is incredible with how the NFL is set up to create parity.
Yeah.
That he was able to have the sustained success of having winning seasons. And yeah, getting the playoffs. No, they haven't won a playoff game since 2016. I get that. That's a problem. That's why you needed a reset. Totally understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not like diminish what he was able to accomplish in the 19 seasons as an NFL head coach.
So this is not about Tomlin. This is actually about the Steelers' organizational philosophy.
Which they never go through coaches. They've had 3 coaches.
Well, what I'm about to say is about, and actually this is true of Harbaugh and the Ravens too. You got to be really careful if you are looking at those guys and you are the Dolphins or the Giants or any team at the bottom, right? Or the Raiders, right? Those 2 guys, yeah, they were super successful in their runs with their teams. They were never asked to rebuild. They were never asked to take on. Both of them waltzed into tailor-made for success situations.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean they were not good at what they did. Both of them were Super Bowl winning coaches. Both of them had long stretches of success and remaking the team a little bit. But like Tomlin leaves the Steelers, and if the idea is John Harbaugh now looks at Pittsburgh, I've never seen John Harbaugh take on the challenge that's in front of the Steelers right now. The Steelers have to change the way they have thought for years and go actually get aggressive to get a quarterback.
Well, also, I think, and then this is the interesting part about the reset. It's like you tip your cap to Mike Tomlin for all the success that he's had. They've stayed relevant. They've had winning seasons. But there is a good sizable chunk of Steelers fans that at least I know that are ready to suck because they know in order to get that quarterback you're talking about, to be aggressive, you got to suck. Apparently, you got to put yourself in position to get said quarterback. And in order to do that, you got to be more like the Raiders.
Right. In that regard, finding the franchise, God only smiled on one franchise, and that is the Green Bay Packers, who keep finding franchise quarterbacks without having to move around in the draft.
Colts almost had it.
Colts almost had it. But remember, they had to suck for luck.
They did have to suck for luck, yes. Yes. Well, I mean, that was also that was fortuitous.
Yeah.
That Peyton Manning got hurt.
Right.
So that they ended up doing that. Because the justification to suck was, well, we don't have Peyton Manning.
Right.
And of course, that the classic Peyton Manning should have been the NFL MVP. Just look how bad the Colts were without him. Right. So that's, I think, interesting too about the Colts or the Steelers in particular, that the fan base understands. By the way, the Bills had to go through this too in order to get their quarterback in Josh Allen. And their general manager got roasted for this. But essentially what he was saying at the time was, look, man, we're in this purgatory.
Yeah.
In order to get that QB that you want, we got to suck, but nobody wants to suck. It's interesting that Steelers fans, the impression that I get from Steelers fans is they're ready to eat a little bit of crap in order to get where they need to be.
Yeah.
Now, the question then becomes, and this would be a perfect topic for OG business, but since we're in the context of talking about Mike Tomlin, the idea being that Mike Tomlin's not going to get an NFL job. He's just going to go straight to television because there's multiple networks, Fox being the one that he's most closely tied to, being the guy that they're going to throw money at so he can be in set, in the booth, whatever it might be. I mean, we are looking at some upheaval in the NFL football talking headspace.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin, I think, is that domino to get things going.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I have always wondered why these guys, whether it's Tomlin, Sean McVay, any of these guys that television executives look at and say that coach is the next star in sports. Okay, well, go be competitive with coaching jobs. You're throwing around big money to broadcasters. If you think that's the dude, pay him like it.
Yeah.
I think that I could see Tomlin doing the Sean Payton thing, doing TV for a year.
Yes.
Until the exact thing he wants opens up.
I would agree with you on that.
Topics stack it up. Giglio's throw back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
Consider this CBS corner.
Ooh.
Speaking of NFL announcers, I did not realize, because I don't pay too much attention while I'm watching a football game as to what the analysts are saying.
Yeah.
But I guess Tony Romo was awful this past weekend.
Yeah, I was watching it with the volume off because I was at the gym. So I also, this was a surprise to me as well.
Like, apparently it was awful.
Yeah.
Now, I did catch a little bit of Tom Brady. Like, I was paying attention a bit with Tom Brady with the Eagles broadcast. And everybody was going gaga over the fact that he explained and illustrated how to throw a ball in the wind.
Yeah.
Although it was strange that he never mentioned anything about PSI.
Well, sure.
I thought he was an expert on that. But
yeah.
Neither here nor there. But Romo, it's gotten so bad with Romo that people are now arguing that TJ Watt and that crew needs to bump up, and it's doing Jim Nantz a disservice and all this kind of stuff. Same with Al Michaels, by the way. That people have been roasting Al Michaels and the Amazon broadcast, and even Kurt Herbstreit, who's overworked, not necessarily being on it for Thursday Night Football on Amazon. So this is what I mean by the upheaval and stuff like that. But maybe I have it all wrong. Have you seen the mock-up for the CBS Evening News Whiskey Fridays? This is the first time you've seen this?
Yeah.
Okay. You're watching on YouTube. This is not about politics.
Okay.
This is not about politics. It's not about Tony. I can't pronounce his last name, the new anchor that everybody's been dunking on. Okay?
Which, I mean, Jesus, he's fucking awful.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. What it's about is that CBS is trying to become more relatable in the evening news. So they're doing this thing with Jack Daniels, like a sponsored Jack Daniels bit, Whiskey Fridays. Now, the irony as to why Jack Daniels is bleeding cash right now, we don't need to get into that either.
Yeah.
Okay? Because again, I'm going to keep this politics free. I saw this mock-up. And for those watching on YouTube, you can see it, podcast only audience. It looks like, I'm going to describe it for you because you've seen it with any number of Super Bowl Radio Row coverage.
Yes.
It looks like a Super Bowl Radio Row setup for Dan Patrick at best.
I was about to say to my SEC people, this looks like the Marty and McGee set.
Even better. Oh, yeah, like faux wood accents.
Yes.
But I saw that. I thought to myself, there are local radio stations with better setups than that at the Super Bowl. And this is supposed to be the Tiffany Network set. Man, there are all sorts of messed up over at CBS. They got Tony Romo problems. They got these problems.
I want to say the magnification, but really it's not just the magnification. It's the dipshitification of CBS. It's coming to sports. It's coming to sports.
Dude, it's already there.
It is, but I'm saying it's going to be even more over the top.
I mean, anyway, I look at these things of like, what's man? Like, I was going to call it the Joe Rogification.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the Joe Rogification is, if you look at his podcast setup, it's very much like, this is what men are into. Like rustic neon signs. And all. It's like every time you get to the holidays, you get to Christmas, and it's like, what to get your man in your life? And it's always like
whiskey stones.
Get whiskey stones and get this.
Beard oil.
I could use some beard oil, actually. That was the other one, like some leather or something or another. It's like,
sure.
Like, I don't know.
This is what actually my wife showed me that came up for her. Yeah. An at-home machete.
What?
It's basically like a butcher's knife in a machete.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wired differently. If you want to get me something, get me a new record player.
Sure.
Get me a new microphone.
Get me a real machete.
Hey, now we're talking. All right, back to NFL and coaching jobs. Marcus Freeman's going to take one of these NFL jobs?
I think he's a fool not to at this point.
I would agree. Kirk Cignetti.
No, absolutely not.
Hey, look, he's a Pennsylvania guy.
I understand, but like league mandated media availability?
Oh my God.
No, fucking thank you.
Can you imagine Kirk Cignetti's business, his antics with NFL players?
Agreed.
That would be amazing.
I mean,
I don't see it happening.
Go back and read the, was it Esquire in like 2011?
Mm-hmm.
Did a like in bed with Nick Saban, and that's where the stories came out about him making NFL players cry when he was with the Dolphins, and then not understanding why that wasn't motivating for those guys.
No, so I do wonder which one of these college coaches are going to kick the tires on. Marcus Freeman is the hot commodity.
Freeman's like so obvious because I have thought that Kirby Smart is a pretty obvious in terms of what he has accomplished. But Kirby also is pretty much the college archetype.
He is, right down to the visor.
Right. I don't think Marcus Freeman is the kind of guy that you can define as that's a college football guy.
No, he's not.
I think that's just a football guy.
Lincoln Riley getting the hell out of town. Young, offensive-minded guy. Does he pull a Jeff Hafley and take an assistant gig?
No, I think
Kelly.
I think he's got too big of an ego to do the Hafley or Chip Kelly.
So that he would be a head coach.
Yeah, but
can you see him? Because things are ending for him in Southern Cal.
That's fair. I could see him taking a job. I can't see him being offered one.
You don't see him getting offered one, even though he's Mr. Offensive Mind.
Yeah, I mean, because he's also like.
There's also a lot of league mandated stuff he wouldn't want to do.
I've also convinced me he's a head coach.
Hey man, it doesn't matter. Does he look the part?
Oh, that's fair.
Cliff Kingsbury has gotten very far in life for looking the part.
I was looking at ESPN.
Can you imagine? Oh God, Cliff Kingsbury in Philly as an offensive coordinator.
I was looking at ESPN projecting here are the open jobs. Here's who we think will fill them. 8 open jobs. ESPN projected 6 retread coaches.
More likely to get an NFL job, Dave Dorn or Bill Belichick in this cycle? Because there's a lot of jobs open right now. More likely to get an NFL job, Dave Dorn or Bill Belichick?
Should not be this tough.
But it is.
It is.
Because Dave's a young dude.
Right.
All things considered, Dave is still a young guy.
What you are basically asking is Belichick now considered so much of a clown in the NFL circles that nobody would take a chance on him? And
let me throw Manny Diaz in there.
Yeah. I think Manny Diaz would be the one most likely. Period.
Yeah, so of the triangle trio, which one's most likely to get it? However slim of a chance it might be, which one's most likely to get an NFL job this hiring cycle? Because there's 9 jobs now?
9, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as people like the Haslams in Cleveland and Stephen Ross in Miami exist, I think it's still Belichick.
No. Just you got to look at the trends of hiring in the NFL.
Yeah.
The old dudes are out, man.
You do, but you also have to account for the people that are in this to chase clout, not chase victories.
Yeah.
The Haslams bought the Browns. Do you think they really think they're ever getting a Super Bowl win?
No.
Yeah.
No. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You can check them out online at bugsbite.com. I know it's the middle of January. We've got cold fronts coming through, but hey, we're in the middle of meteorological winter, which means we are closer to the warmer weathers of spring than you realize, which also means you're going to want to spend some time outside and you don't want mosquitoes to mess it up. So start thinking about a plan for this year. Pay as you go. You can even do things like misting systems that they'll set up to keep the bugs in check while you are outside grilling, hanging out, whatever it might be. So contact them today, bugsbite.com, and you can bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Speaking of saving, our friends at Bloom & Blinds want to buy your blinds back. And you actually put that towards new blinds, new window treatments. So check them out online at bloomandblinds.com. That's bloomin, blinds.com, or call them directly at 910-9815. Again, that's 919-980-9815. And it goes beyond just like the interior of your home. You've got an outdoor space, like a Four Seasons room.
Put blinds on it.
Put some shades, automated shades, all sorts of fun stuff. Let's say you make decisions at your school.
Put blinds on it.
And those kids can't study. They can't play Roblox theoretically while they're learning.
Right.
Because the iPad glare from the window.
Put blinds on the iPad.
Put blinds on that. Right. You can put blinds on the iPad. So check them out online at bloomandblinds.com, 919-980-9815. And of course, our friends at the Butcher's Market, they bring you the mailbag. They bring you OG Live.
Put meat on it.
And they bring you prepared meals. Very, very key. So check out thebutchersmarkets.com. Again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com. it's funny. Those pictures on the last little music bump that takes you to Hey Joe. I haven't really looked at it because usually I'm trying to set something up.
Yeah.
But I had a chance to look at it. And I'm like, damn, I was skinnier 3 years ago.
Yeah, you look like shit. We've all been meaning to tell you.
What happened?
Life, baby.
Old beers. Old beers might have something to do with it. There's no real Hey Joe right now. It's more of a, we'll close on this. It's more of a, what we do kind of therapy, Demetri.
Oh, okay.
We've had, and I know this is a good problem to have because people are listening to the show. But this is a Hey Joe for you. What do I do when people's listening comprehension seems to not be
right
in line with what was actually said or how we've discussed things?
Yeah.
There's been a rash of this. I'm not talking about one particular thing, but throughout the last couple of months, there's been a lot of like, well, that's not exactly what we said. How was that your takeaway from what we said?
Yeah.
So what do I do in those situations?
This is probably why more people listen to Ovius and Giglio than This Team Is Killing Us is I tell them they're fucking idiots. I tell them if you can't read, I can't help you. Or if you can't listen, I can't help you.
Like all I could do is be like, have you when's the last time you cleaned out earwax?
Right.
Like, that's about it. That's all I can do. But no, this is something that like I got it. So I got it in radio because in radio, you're on for 3-4 hours. You're kind of passive because like radio listening is a very passive listening.
Of course.
You get in your car, your radio's on, you're hearing what they're saying, but sometimes you're driving, you're not so locked in. But with like podcast listening, you can go back and be like, no, wait, what did he say now?
Right.
What did he say? So, and I will admit there are times where when you talk all day, there are some things that you kind of say, they're throwaway, or maybe it's not how you intended to say it, but your mouth is moving faster than your brain. I'll allow that. But there are some times where it's like what podcast are you listening to? Because it's not this one.
Right.
What do you do?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. We have a dude that every time I post a clip from This Team Is Killing Us, we'll call Lauren and I haters.
Oh, dude, I got a lot of that with the Panthers.
Yeah, it's like I
got a lot of that with the Panthers.
If I'm pointing out what is an obvious problem in hopes of making the team I root for better, how does that make me a hater?
Well, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up the Panthers in this regard because I have what I've kind of figured out this season with the Panthers is I have a very complicated relationship with the Panthers and how we talk about the Panthers. I feel like we should talk about the Panthers, but sometimes I don't think there's an appetite to talk about the Panthers on a grand level.
Let's pull back the curtain a little bit. You and I debated, do we want to do an after dark for the playoff game? And we came to the conclusion it's probably a next year conversation.
Yeah. Like I think right now it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, hey man, Julian Council, man, those are his corners.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. It's whatever. And I hope people did catch Julian after that game on Saturday. But what I think is interesting is that I think you even titled This Team Is Killing Us video that the Bryce Young topic is going to cause a civil war within the fan base, right? And to your point about that you guys have just been haters, I'm like, how is it saying that Bryce Young is a capable starting quarterback who has found his spots to win games with great throws? How is that being a hater?
Yeah.
Now, this makes sense when you actually go and look at somebody's timeline and you see that they're very much into the Bryce Young Photoshop game, where it's Bryce Young dressed as Anakin Skywalker about to take out the younglings of the NFC South.
I've had to have this conversation with my son. Please stop following those accounts.
Or the account like the Panthers Nation 1 that you see on Facebook, and it's like, it's the Dexter's Laboratory meme where it's like, please stun on the hose. Like, right? And it's like, I don't see Bryce Young stun on them hose.
Yeah.
Now is he going to make a great throw? Is he going to put you in a position to win a game? Sure. But look, this like business of,
Bryce Young stunts on them hoes the way that somebody not his age, but his size should be. Like he really celebrates it when he gets the chance.
Sure. Now what I have, but I can tolerate them. I can tolerate that more so than I can tolerate the people who are just like, he's a bum, get him out of here.
Same.
I'm like, okay, I got no time for you.
So here's the thing. Here's one thing I will say about you guys in particular.
Okay.
And this goes back to the SEC narrative, right?
Yes.
Sometimes old evidence dies hard in people's brains.
It does, dude.
And I will tell you, Giglio was over the top in the beginning with
the munching quarterback stuff.
Yeah. And so, like, I think that anybody that listens regularly, not even listens regularly, looks at the clips regularly, has seen that Giglio is a very reasonable person in his takes on what Bryce Young is and is not.
Sure.
Right? But I think there is this group of, and because of the way This Team Is Killing Us began as Young Gun, like we paid attention to this.
Yeah.
There is this group of people that formed their opinion of the way Bryce Young is talked about from day one.
Yeah.
From day one. And it goes on both sides.
It does go on both sides. It does. No, look, and again, it's one of those things where it's like you have to allow for people to grow. I guess the last thing I'll say about this, to your point about how old evidence dies hard. One of my favorite stories is in the last couple of years, I went to the Raleigh Sports Club.
Mm.
They invited me out. Love doing it. It's a great meal. The people there are great. These are hardcore, older sports fans.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the times that I went, a guy came up to me and he says, "Ovius, I got to admit, I couldn't stand you." I was like, okay. And he's talking about like the old 850 The Buzz days when I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was like, he's like, I thought you were obnoxious, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, yeah, I probably was obnoxious. I was 25.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was obnoxious. I'm sure if I went back and I listened to old tape, I'd be like, God, man, you suck.
Yeah.
God, that was obnoxious. God, you were sarcastic. Why? I was like, at this point, I'm like, man, I'm in my 40s with 2 kids, mortgage, etc. Like, you got to allow for people to grow,
right?
You know, and things change over time, right? Things change. Okay, I've evolved. People evolve. It's okay. To your point about Bryce Young, yeah, man, it was a rough ass rookie season.
Yeah, terrible rookie season.
It was a rough start to his sophomore season.
Yep.
But you allow for guys to grow.
Yeah,
and we've seen a little growth. Now he hasn't grown, but his game has
God
grown.
willing, he never will.
He never will. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for today's show. Yeah, it's one of those things where I realized. I'm like, we can get into some Hey Joe stuff, but there's been this overriding thing that's been nagging me.
Yeah.
And I need you to go into radio consultant mode for me to explain, like, what are people listening to sometimes?
I mean, listen, I wrote this very silly article this week at Awful Announcing that was, hey, if Paul Feinbaum is my friend, I believe he is a man of his word. So if he is really planning to leave the country because Ole Miss didn't make the national championship game, here are 5 other sports cultures that he would thrive in, right? All of the responses were polar 180s. You guys are carrying ESPN water, or, oh, because Paul Feinbaum's a Republican, you're blah, blah, blah. And so the first guy that responded that way, but his exact tweet was, oh, Feinbaum Republican, Feinbaum bad, fuck you guys. I responded, I say in the column that we're friends.
Yes.
And there's even a picture of us together.
Yes.
In the column. What the fuck are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
And the guy never responded. And it dawned on me, oh, this isn't even that important to them.
No.
Like, who cares?
Because it's just easy to fire it up and be like,
exactly.
Done. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for today. We will see y'all tomorrow.